Hi there. I'm just getting set up here. Welcome. Welcome to episode 2 of the A2Z Dream Workshop podcast. I'm A2Z Angela, your host and creator of the A2Z Dream Workshop. And I'm here to tell you a little bit more about how everything got going. It was a few years ago. I was in my mid-20s, right? And I wanted to take the time to delve right deeper into the next podcast and dissecting the workshop and telling you more about that. I am looking for some more information, but on how to do the podcast here. It was telling me my quality is too low, so if you can't see me or if I'm a little blurry, I'm learning here. Life's a journey. And actually, I wanted to do something to start today's podcast and to just bring the spirit into this. That's what I'm going to be talking about today and how it all began. So, I'm just going to grab my little poker candle here. And give us a little light, because the world needs more light in the world. We need more light in the world, and that's what the Dream Workshop's all about. Is years ago, I was working in real estate, and this was coming out of college. I was working in real estate in Milwaukee, and then I moved to Chicago with a Chicago developer, and I was really not involved in a church. I was on a very spiritual journey, and I was reading and listening to books on tape, just craving after college, just learning. And I'd my whole life been told what books to read, what to study, always preparing for another exam. And so when I graduated college, I just was craving education, and as a lifelong learner, I really delved deep into, what my soul was craving, more so than, what my head was craving. But I was doing a mix of business books and spiritual books, and so Wayne Dyer, Doreen Virtue, the Angel Lady, whole bunch of stuff. And I began really journaling and asking questions about what my purpose in life was or is. And through that is when God really started speaking in my life. And in fact, the reason why I'm doing this podcast today, and not, first of all, the one I wanted to do originally, which was to talk about personality poker, was because I was taking time to meditate yesterday at Adoration at a local church, and he spoke again. And it's up to us to listen through prayer, through meditation, when he is literally tapping us on the shoulder and saying, Angela, do this. I have a message for you to deliver today. It's up to us to just answer that call. And so my name, Angela, the root of it is angel, which the meaning is messenger. And so I feel strongly that God had some messages for me to deliver, and that my purpose in life was to listen to him. And so through this spiritual journey of soul searching, the question was, what's my purpose here, God? And he answered and said, don't concentrate on finding a purpose, but serving a purpose. And where I was serving and dedicating my time outside of my career at the time was in my business fraternity. It's a co-ed professional business fraternity. My beautiful wooden paddle that I got from one of my pledges when I was a big brother. I was in it for 3 of my 5 years. I was a super senior in college. And the final year I was president of my chapter at University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee. And I was volunteering there on a regional team and over 13 chapters. And when we went to this big nationwide conference in the summer of 2007, I was talking to some students and they needed help finding and organizing speakers to be brought into their meetings to talk on different business topics. And so I said, I'm going to help you. I'm going to help you. I don't know how I'm going to do that. But I'm gonna get more speakers for you, and anybody can come in and do a presentation. It was up for them to network in their own town. But sooner or later, when I got back from that retreat, I was really, in a sense, from that conference, awakened. And something inside of me was just this burning energy and fire, and I began expanding my network across the country with people that I had met at that conference. And this was before social networking was really ever a thing on Facebook. But beyond the conference, I connected with more people then who were also in the fraternity and active on Facebook. And I said, I don't know if I met you at this conference yet, but maybe I'll meet you at the next one. And I'm here in Chicago, and if you're ever in town, come visit and connect with me. Let's have a cup of coffee. And so what happened next, through building an online network, through going back and working for this real estate developer in Chicago, they started sending me to these workshops. One was held by the Institute for Community. It's called the Life Map course. It was teaching personality types. Another one was the Turning Point Retreat by Brian Buffini. And he primarily hosts conferences and inspirational retreats for real estate agents, but he also does this huge summer event called the Mastermind Summit out in San Diego, and it's pretty amazing. So between these 2 workshops, that's first what changed my life, and I learned so much in this personality type workshop. They did animals, and like I said, there's a number of different ways, and I'm going to be bringing on an expert who's been teaching personality types in the workforce in companies for several decades, and she's going to tell us a lot more about how she's really seen the power of personality types and learning those being applied in the workplace. I have a guest joining me today. This is our little baby, Lucy. Hi, everybody say hi, Lucy. She's a Packer fan. So she's here keeping me company in the A2Z Dreamz studio today. All right, so beyond that, I learned a lot, and I was like, everybody could use this information. The college level, I never got it there, but I was like, everybody could really use learning more about themselves, taking a passion assessment, things like that, to really figure out for themselves what they're meant to do in their lives and where they're going to be most fulfilled in their journey, in their career. And so from there, I knew God was kind of tapping me on the shoulder and saying, Angela, it's up to you to just share this information, take what you've learned and apply it and share it with others. Well, next thing was the Turning Point Retreat. And it was a 2-day conference, and this guy was on fire, Brian Buffini. And I sat there watching him, feeling so motivated. And again, God was just, and I was inspired. And God was sitting there going like this, Angela, 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 if he can go from being a real estate agent to an inspirational speaker hosting these kinds of events, you can too. And so that was really the turning point in my career, where I knew God was really tapping me on the shoulder very strongly, and it was up to me to listen. And so I went back and I continued working in real estate because I had this amazing boss and mentor named A2Z. And, you know, I think that God put him in my life for a reason. And I learned so much from him. Yes, you know, real estate was the product that we were selling, and we were building new construction once we got in Chicago. But boy, did I learn some amazing things from working for Art. And he was the one that said that when I first kind of told him I wanted to, you know, go and travel the country and do some speaking, and I started these conferences and presentations. You know, I had gotten a few weeks into it, and I called him and I was like, I don't know if I can do this. Like, and he's like, Ange, you can't go from A to Z without hitting all the letters in between. And it is a journey. There is, you know, another leg in the journey now as I'm relaunching it as the full day program. And we're always learning. We're lifelong learners. And so you're accompanying me now on this part of the journey, where we're launching the podcast, where I'm talking more about all of the everything there is to know about the A2Z Dream Workshop. And so getting back to what happened after the Turning Retreat is I started speaking at A2Z conferences in Chicago, and I did the personality types, and I called it Be a Business Leader Now. And so that was in 2008 when I really began speaking at conferences and for college students. And from there, I was continuing to pray, meditate, and say, God, I know there's more. What is it? And this is when I felt that I may have started to really feel crazy in my life, because he got louder. And he didn't just tap me on the shoulder. He would pull me out of bed at 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning and tell me things, or bring me to my computer, and just, I had to get up and go and start typing and writing about different topics and building this book and this journey. And, you know, like, it was very, a combination of, you know, on some occasions I would see visions, but it was never like, only once was there really like big, you know, bursts of light and energy, and other visions, you know, just where I would see things plain in the day. I guess it was more than one occasion where he would show me like things in the clouds. It was really, you know, I think he talks to all of us, and it's just up to us to listen. But mainly it was audio. And this other phrase, besides Art's phrase of you can't go from A to Z without hitting all the letters in between, this other phrase, live in the dream, through a friend had come to me and really stuck. And so it was like God was saying, live in the dream, live in the dream, live in the dream. And I'm like, okay, well, what is the dream? And that's when I was standing on my porch at my condo, and he literally just said it. And it was, discover passions, realize entrepreneurial abilities, and manifest your destiny. And I was like, wow, okay, that's intense. You know, what does this look like? And it just started with one workshop at a time. It started first with Discover Passions, was about learning about ourselves and what we're passionate about, learning our personality type so we could work well with others, and then your passion for where you want to be working, in what field, in what career path, and then Realize. So Realize came in 2009, and I had put on another conference for A2Z, my alumni chapter, and then I was really, thinking about the expenses of living in Chicago, and I wanted to get closer to my family, so I moved back to Wisconsin. And I had this network, so I had several students in Iowa at Drake and University of Iowa calling and saying, Angela, we want you to come speak at our campus. And so I had booked a number of events, but I wanted to introduce a new piece, and that was Realize. And it was all about A to Z. And it was all about that each letter of the alphabet stood for a different life lesson. And so the first times I did it, it was just a presentation about every letter of the alphabet and what those all meant, and those career topics, and we talk a little bit about it. As it evolved, I'm not quite sure at what point, maybe in 2010, maybe in 2009. As I mentioned, the movie 21 really struck a chord. And when God is really working through me, or when I'm letting the Holy Spirit work, that's what the red represents, is the Holy Spirit is at work within me. I can't deny when these visions sometimes pop into my head, and he shows me a picture, or when he's telling me something, and the theme became the playing cards and the poker. And this movie 21 just, what is your X factor? What are you willing to do to go out there and make your dream happen? Blackjack became the theme. And so I condensed it from talking about all the subjects, A to Z topics, to letting the host customize the workshop and pick a handful of them, and then incorporating this blackjack table and letting students play a little blackjack, but then people at the table would present. And so the Institute for Community, who put on the Life Map course, where I took the personality type and passion assessment, had actually done a study. And this was years ago, but it was the biggest regrets in life and what those were. And so those were taking more risks, taking more time to reflect, and left a legacy. And so within this workshop, this is an opportunity where, if you're not presenting to the whole group, we let the students network with one another and take time and answer these questions, because when you reflect on some of life's questions and get to know yourself better, you become more self-confident. You become much more aware of where you're going, what you want out of life. Sometimes those questions and the answers to them change. But when we keep those things to ourselves, right? When we're afraid to share our story with someone else, one, it's not opening ourselves up and taking those risks. And sometimes just opening yourself up and talking to somebody, sharing your story, sharing personal details about yourself is the biggest risk that you can take in being in relationship with someone else. And so we did that, but also, just like some of those messages, and when somebody says something to you, that could leave a legacy within you. Or you could leave your legacy within another person by simply sharing and taking that risk and opening your story. So when Art said something in that message of, you can't go from A to Z without hitting all the letters in between, that legacy stuck. That was what I felt God giving me a message and sending it through someone very close to me. Living the dream was another very important message I was meant to receive, because it was the dream. It became the dream workshop. And so, yes, could we build a business? Could we build a career and do some amazing things and leave a legacy in the world that changes the world? Absolutely. Absolutely. But simply open yourself up. Tell them about yourself. Take that risk. And sometimes just being intimate and sharing your life, your own perspective on life's lessons, is leaving a legacy in another person, because it's teaching them something that they're going to need to know for their life. Okay, so from there, I had started a business plan as well. I had come back here and done this course at Fox Valley Technical College in Appleton, Wisconsin. And it was all about writing a business plan, and through their e-seed course. And that's when A2Z Dreamz really started to take shape, the company aspect of it. But also, in learning those resources, I was also refining my speaking skills through Toastmasters. And that's where the picture behind me is from. I actually competed on several occasions in different Toastmasters competitions and won some awards, which was pretty incredible in and of itself. But I was, again, building my skills and building my confidence that, yes, as much as I knew I could take the risk and had done forensics, I had run, organizational meetings, we can still be in our own way and need to get out of our way and overcome our own fears. And that's exactly what Toastmasters helped me to do, was work on those speaking skills. And actually I was in this club where several people were either competing for the internet, they were out to become the international public speaker of the world, which they host that annual competition. And several friends had actually gone on to become professional speakers and started their own leadership workshops as well. And so that was pretty amazing, just that God had brought us all together for that. But one of the people who is now the director of the Aveda School in Minneapolis was at a local cosmetology school called Giltech. And she's like, Angela, I'm really, really interested in this. And so she goes, I really want to bring you in and do these at my school here in Appleton. And I said, great. It wasn't a day-long program, although that was always kind of the dream since the beginning that God was telling me to do and had envisioned for it. But it had to happen, one step at a time, one letter at a time, right? And so in her booking those workshops, it became about the E and the entrepreneurial mindset, right? So as much as today's generation is really involved in entrepreneurship and has their own big dreams about starting businesses, that's why this workshop applies to so many people, because it's not just about entrepreneurship being building a business, it's about an entrepreneurial mindset. And that means building your life with someone. That means building your career. That means building your dream home. Whatever it is, you're going to need tools and resources and the ability to want to really think for yourself and say, I'm in charge of what I'm building right now. And so the entrepreneurship segment of the workshop was then coming together. And it was phenomenal because I was also booking it at Rockford College and other places in the Midwest, and this house of cards started to take shape. And so in the workshop, students are given playing cards. And so if you're building something, how do you build a house of cards? Or how do you build a business? And what happens is they first start with the old school way, right, of trying to balance these cards on top of each other. And as they're doing so, and these things keep falling down, there's other things in the room that are very obvious, and I will talk to them and say, well, what other resources can you use? Did you, if you're building a business right now, did you secure a bank loan that's going to keep you more stable? And they look around. I say, look around the room. What could represent that bank loan? And if there's tape or staplers that help hold that house of cards together, that's what we want them to think about, is what could represent those things in your life. And so after learning the personality types, they're learning about how they worked better together. And I think it just all fit together. So from 2009 to 2011-ish, I had really kind of created that 3 pieces of the puzzle and created the half-day program. And from there, I had to take kind of a look at things, and I called that my research and development phase of the workshop, because the afternoon segment, and what I had always kind of known, is that it would get a lot deeper and a lot more personal and a lot more faith-filled. Is that the afternoon is about my own story and my own journey and all of the obstacles I had to overcome. From people that would shoot me down and be laughing in my face and saying, Angela, you're doing what? You're speaking. And I'm like, well, I'm a workshop facilitator, but oh yeah, living the dream. That's really cool. I mean, think about Michael Jordan and all the shots he had to take, or all of, the publishers that J.K. Rowling took Harry Potter series to and was turned down, or, some of the, great singers and songwriters in our time that have been laughed at by their own friends and family, that are like, hey, Billy Joel, go out and get a real job. Or Christina Aguilera, who, just before it was more of a thing to homeschool, couldn't go to school anymore because of all of the people that were kind of laughing at her. And, again, if I was still kind of doing this part-time and writing it and creating it, and it wasn't the right time. And I kind of let those people get in my head as well. And I was just like, I needed to grow in my own journey and my own confidence even more. And again, God had kind of just let me know, let's just put it up on the shelf for a little bit and we can come back to it, because there's other things in life that you need to do, that, I need you to see, I need you to experience, I need you to get through. And so from having my daughter, to building my life with someone, to overcoming, again, a number of struggles, financial, other hardships that I just needed to really experience, and took me away from building a business or following the dream. And that was okay. Because I knew that if this was really God's plan for me, that He would start talking again, and that He would be with me during that point in my life in other ways. And He was. And so what happened during that time off before I really started is I had just in Toastmasters written part of my keynote that told the story about how the dream all came to fruition and building my own resources with Toastmasters and other things, and the people who had helped me along the way, my Dreamz team. And from there, I got into youth ministry, and I went to work at a Lutheran church with their high schoolers at first, and we did just this roundtable discussion of each one of those A to Z topics, and I listened to them and what, B for balance meant in their life, and L for law of attraction, how God would bring things into your life when you prayed for them or when you visualized them. And that was really neat, because that's when he began telling me that high schoolers were ready for this message too. And up until that point, I had always thought, I can't go into high school and talk about playing poker and blackjack. I don't want to send the wrong message in thinking that I'm telling them to go out and gamble. But at the same time, the message in the workshop and the gambling and the playing the game, I list a bunch of games of Candyland and Chutes and Ladders, all those things we played as kids. And I tell them to get in the game of life. And that still holds true, as I'm not sitting there telling them, hey, head to the casino this weekend, guys. But I'm telling you, take risks. I'm telling you, get in the game of life and have fun. Play the game. And so the high schoolers seemed to really, really connect with it and really want to talk about what their dreams were after high school. So that was pretty amazing to see that coming into fruition. So when I had my daughter, she was 28 weeks with special needs, and she's smart as a whip and 4 years old, going on 5 soon. And I had to really just completely devote my life to motherhood and what that looked like, with her being premature. She was in constant assessment clinics and things that we had to be aware of, that she could be at higher risk for. And so I took a step back and I went into working more in education and did some programs through the Y, and I received my early childhood certificate, which actually made me a better mom. I also got my substitute license and began teaching just at the elementary, middle school level, which was pretty incredible. So it gave me more of that classroom experience. And third, something I've been doing since my daughter was born in 2017, I began working in youth ministry as well, and teaching. And there's something to be said for that alone, because this whole podcast is about telling you about how God has worked in my life and how he told me to create the Dream Workshop. But one of my biggest fears as this was getting going was having the ability to share that thing, and people thinking that by God speaking to me, I would come across as crazy, right? Well, in building my confidence in teaching ministry and working in ministry, it allowed me to grow that much more confident in my own faith. And in recent times, I launched a women's ministry called Wine and Witness. And we come and we bring in different speakers. I am more the MC for the program. But what happens in Wine and Witness, again, is I'm in front of an audience and I'm always talking about letting God work through us. And that was really kind of the clincher, is God was always telling me, launch this again. But when I began Wine and Witness, we chose the color red, because within a church, red is worn on special occasions. when we're teaching kids in youth ministry at a program called Catechesis of Good Shepherd. We call it Feast of Great Love. And so they wear it also on an occasion in spring, usually in May, called Pentecost. And red represents the Holy Spirit when it came to the disciples after Jesus' death. And that's another vision God had always shown me, was that within the workshop, a lot of things were always black and white in a business world, and you leave God out of it. But in living in color, and especially red, this is a symbol. This was a way that God had told me that when you are ready, that last piece of the workshop would be in red, that you would be telling and giving the message that life is not a black and white world. We live in a gray area, but even more when you involve God and the Holy Spirit and let Him work through you. That passion inside of you, that fire, that red, ball of energy that's inside comes through, and people hear that passion. And when you let God work through you and you take away all of whatever the negative energy is of the world and those that are going to put you down about it or not really see your vision, that goes away. Because when you're confident that and able to say, no, this is God at work in my life, and this is what He's told me to do with my life, and to go out there and teach and give this message, that's living in color, man. That is 100% and beyond passion, and I can't describe it. I can't put it into words, the affirmation that God has given me in my life, that the Dream Workshop was always His. And when I was just starting it in the research and development phase, when I had talked to, different conferences and, a dozen different campuses and did different pieces of the workshop, I always had another, position part-time to supplement the income. But there was also something I had to let go at that time, and that was my ego. Fake it till you make it, right? That's something we hear a lot, like, just go out there and do it. And I needed to be authentic. I really needed to be authentic with why and how this workshop started, which was inspired by God talking to me. And through my work in ministry, I began building that much confidence in my ability to talk about God and how He works in my life. And so when Wine and Witness came and we started wearing red there, and all along He had shown me the red to wear at the Dream Workshop when I would write the Manifest Your Destiny. He said, Angela, it's time. It's time. And so that's been happening, and that is how we have gotten to 2021. This has been 13, 14 years in the making, and I'm excited to see where it goes from here. I really can't tell you guys how awesome this feels to be living the dream, to be once again ready to go out there and deliver this message about other people developing their own skills and following their dreams and inspiring them. Because, like I said, when I'm there, I say, God, give me the words. And that's what I do here too. And that's why I light a candle, is because I want you to know that this isn't about Angela. This isn't about what Angela did or how she did it. This was really about setting aside my ego, my drive, my everything, and being authentic and true to the Creator and letting Him work through me. So I hope you have enjoyed today's program and this deeper dive into how it all came together, who really created it. And if you're interested in hosting a dream workshop on your campus or at your high school, please give me a call. You can always visit www.A2Z Dreamworkshop.com and continue listening and tuning in to the podcast here, because there are going to be some really exciting things coming up. I have a number of people, resources out there, from the entrepreneurship clinics and incubators that are happening at high schools, to some of the programs in the entrepreneurship courses at the college level. Like I said, a variety of topics that we're going to be discussing about how what we want to do, in these workshops, and what we want to inspire today's generation to feel when they come out of them. And also, I have a number of business owners lined up that, they're going to talk about the real world experience. They're going to talk about their journey to their dream and how it all came together, and how they started their businesses, and how they overcome some of life's challenges, the A to Z Dreamz topics, life lessons, and how their dream keeps on going, how they keep building it every day, how they keep living it. So I'm really excited to be bringing this to you. Thank you so much for watching today, for listening to the story, and go out there, live your dreams. We'll see you again soon.